Hey everybody, welcome back to Conspiracy Theories and Chill. Today we're going to get into one of my favorite topics that some would argue isn't a conspiracy, but I'm going to make the case for why I think it is. But come on in, we'll start in just a second. I just want to make sure I'm actually live. Looks like we're good. Looks like the feed has got a strong signal. But like I said, welcome to Conspiracy Theories and Chill. Today we're going to get into the Mandela Effect. Some people would argue that the Mandela Effect is not technically a conspiracy, but I'm going to get into why I think that the Mandela Effect is actually a real phenomenon and what I think is causing it and why I think it is a conspiracy. But come on in, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have, thank you very much. Virtual high five. You are amazing. But I'm going to get right into it. I am researching a new Mandela Effect video. I've done a few Mandela Effect videos for the channel. Some of you are aware of those. If you're not, check them out. I'll add links in the description to those videos later on after the feed. But I am researching a new one, as I said. And again, I am getting my mind blown by these Mandelas. And I'm only going to get into, well, I've got a list of about 16 that I wanted to get into with you on this live feed. But if you guys have any that you find fascinating or mind-blowing or just hard to deal with in general, share them with me because I would love to hear about other Mandelas that I have yet to discover. Because as I'm researching, it just goes on and on. The list is endless. You're finding them everywhere. Again, these are ones that I'm just now researching. So forgive me if one of these ends up being wrong because I've had that happen to me before. I've had it happen to me where I've reported a Mandela in a video and had it switch back. Now that makes me sound crazy, but it's not crazy. When I researched the line from Apollo 13, Houston, we have a problem, it was changed. It was now different, but now it's back the way it was. And that one bugs the shit out of me and makes me research triple hard. So these I haven't really looked into yet, but they blew my mind and I wanted to share them with the audience here. And I'm just going to get right into them. I'm going to start with the first one, and as a comic, this one bothers me because the adult diaper brand, I remember it as Depends with an S, but it's Depend and always has been. I don't remember it that way. This next one blew my mind. All of these do. The Depends one, as a comic, I remember it being Depends. I remember there being tons of jokes about Depends, but it's Depend. We added the S in our mind. The jokes exist. You can still look them up. It's just we're all mass remembering it wrong. Because they say it's always just been Depend with no S. This next one is from my favorite movie as a child. I loved this movie. I saw it hundreds of times. I still watch this movie, E.T. Now, the famous line from the movie E.T., I remember it as E.T. Phone Home. But that's not what it is anymore. It's E.T. Home Phone. I can't believe that one. That one really bothers me. And it's been misquoted all throughout time in pop culture as E.T. Phone Home. But they're saying it always has been, and if you watch it, this is the way it is, E.T. Home Phone. That one blew me away. Another one from a show that I watched a lot growing up is from the A-Team. Now think about the A-Team van. When you're picturing the A-Team van in your head, I remember it as all black. I had one. I had the little A-Team van and the play set with the action figures. And I played with it all the time as a kid, and I remember it being solid black. But currently, and if you look back on the show, they say it's always been this way. It's two-tone. It's gray on top and black on the bottom. I don't remember it that way. I remember it as all black, and that one really bothers me. Then there's another one from a movie. Then this one has other Mandelas. It's from Silence of the Lambs. And Silence of the Lambs, now, to my knowledge, has three Mandelas attached to it. This is a new one for me. But I've already covered two other Mandelas from Silence of the Lambs. One is that it's the Silence of the Lambs. I remember it as just Silence of the Lambs, but it's the Silence of the Lambs. The other one is Hello Clarice. Hannibal Lecter never says hello Clarice. He says good morning. He doesn't even say good morning Clarice. But this last one from the Silence of the Lambs, this is a new one for me. You may have heard this one already, but the famous line, it puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again. Or at least that's the way I remember it. It is now, it rubs the lotion on its skin. Not it puts. It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again. That is not the way I remember it. I remember it as it puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again. How do you remember it? Let me know in the comments how you remember that one. This one is from famous TV show, classic TV episode that is obviously being misremembered by tons of pop culture because it's been referenced hundreds of times in television shows, is Timmy falling down the well on Lassie. Well, Timmy never fell down the well. We're misremembering that. There is no episode where Timmy falls down the well. This one's from TV as well, and it surprised me. I remember watching this a lot, and I remember her having a gavel, and that's Judge Judy. Judge Judy, I remember her having a gavel. I remember her using it a lot. But Judge Judy, in this reality, never had a gavel, never used a gavel, has never used one on the show. That surprises me because I remember Judge Judy using a gavel, and I remember her using it often. But I shouldn't because they say she never did and never has used a gavel on the show. This next one is from music history. But you don't have to know much about music history for this one to blow you away. This one blew me completely away. And this is another one that I have to apologize. I haven't fully researched every one of them I'm going to tell you about today. And this is one that I want to research deeper. How many members are in the Jackson 5? This may sound like a trick question, but how many members of the Jackson 5 do you remember? I remember there being 5 members of the Jackson 5. But there's 6. There's 6. I just found this one today. And actually, this whole feed centers around this one Mandela. I decided to do this because I needed to hear from other people. Did you know there's 6 members of the Jackson 5? I am blown away by that. That messes with my head. Some of these Mandelas, a lot of these Mandelas, most of the ones I'm going to tell you about today, trigger me. Just make me question reality. Make me question what's real. And this next one's a big one because I took a little boxing. I love following boxing. I've always been a fan of boxing. I thought I knew where our kidneys were, but our kidneys have moved. There are human anatomy changes with these Mandelas, like the skull, the eye sockets not being hollow, as many people remember them. They are encased in bone. But in this one, our kidneys have moved. And I have to look into this because I remember being taught about kidney punches, and I know the boxing rules where you can't hit, and it's in your lower back is where I remember your kidneys being. And I need to look into this one more, like I said, but now it's saying lower chest. I'm seeing that is where the kidneys are supposed to be located now, and that's blowing me away because I could swear it's lower back. Now, this one is from a propaganda poster. This is a history one. This goes back to World War II. Now, think of those propaganda posters with the woman, flexing, and it says, "We can do it." You know, do you remember what was her facial expression? What do you remember? I remember her smiling. I remember it being positive. We can do it. But she's not smiling anymore, and they say she never was. Google the image. I wish I had put it in the slideshow so that I could show it to you. But Google the image. It doesn't look right to me anymore. I remember her smiling. I remember it being, like most of the propaganda, a positive message to inspire people, is what those were meant to be. So why wouldn't she be smiling? Why would she look all, now she looks gruff? And I get maybe you're trying to look tough. Maybe that's what it is. Like, we can do what the men do. But I remember her smiling. This next one's a science one. Um, and I have quoted this, and apparently I've quoted it wrong many times. But let me ask you the question. Let's do it that way. Will a frog stay in the water? If you boil water and a frog is in the water and you bring it to a boil, will they stay in the water until they die? Now, I always thought that that was a proven experiment that the frog will not, because the water increases temperature gradually over time and they don't realize it because of their cold-bloodedness or whatever. I don't remember how it was explained to me, but I remember that the frog will not jump out of the water. The frog will die. Nope, that's not the way it goes. The frog will jump out of the water. The, it's not true. That's not a real scientific fact. That blew me away. This next one is from a movie. It's from a movie. Hey, Shuan, how you doing? It's from a movie that I watched a lot. It's a horror movie, Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, how do you remember Freddy Krueger's sweater? I and many people remember it as red with black stripes, but it is not. It is red with green stripes. That one's weird to me because that's a pretty decent change to his look. When I look at him, even though it's dirty, like the sweater's always been dirty, but you could say that you mistook him for black stripes because they kind of look black still, but they look wrong for sure. Now I got another TV one next on my list here to talk about. This is from I Love Lucy. Now, in I Love Lucy, I remember it being a catchphrase where Ricky would say to Lucy quite often, "Lucy, you got some splaining to do." I remember that being from the show, but that was never said on I Love Lucy. Maybe we're getting that from comedians and parodies, but I remember it being on the show. Lucy, you got some splaining to do. I remember it being his catchphrase, but apparently not. And this next one, I got to look into a little deeper. I have got to, because this blows me away. I am a 9/11 truther. I know a lot about 9/11. Now, let me ask you this. How many buildings fell on 9/11? How many buildings collapsed on 9/11? Some people think it's only two. I remember it being three: World Trade Center 1, World Trade Center 2, and World Trade Center 7. But while researching Mandela's, I have found that now it is 7. And I got to look into that deeper, because they say that in the 7 count, they're not counting buildings that were demolished afterwards. Now, that would make sense to me in the reality that I remember and have researched, that 7 buildings were damaged enough that they were eventually demolished. But they're saying 7 buildings completely collapsed now. And I remember, if they're talking about the buildings in the World Trade Center complex, I remember them all being heavily damaged, but still standing. Some with the roofs completely caved in. because 7 was far away. 7 was a football field away from the towers. There were buildings in the complex that were right in their general vicinity. They were heavily damaged that didn't collapse. But, and I have to look into this deeper, like I said, but in this reality, I guess they're saying that they did collapse. This next one has to do with the name of a federal agency. Hey, just chillaxing and visiting? Right on. Well, welcome to the feed. This has to do with the name of a federal agency, the DEA. What do you remember the DEA standing for? Or the letters in DEA standing for, rather. I remember it as Drug Enforcement Agency. So I was surprised to learn that it is Drug Enforcement Administration now. That surprised me. That was a big change. These last two that I'm going to get into today are from the Bible, which I've been searching for some, in my search for the new Mandelas to do a video on. I wanted to include some Bible ones because there are a lot, apparently, I'm being told anyway, there are a lot of significant Bible ones. And so far I've found 3 big ones. And that's for me, big ones for me, because I only really include ones that blow me away, because that's what I want to do, is make videos that are popular, and I want them to be successful. So I see there are a lot of Mandelas that I don't get that I could include, but I try to include the ones that really get me. And these 3 are already from the Bible that get me, and I'm not even a Bible scholar. But here's one. What do you remember from the Bible? Do you remember it being, or I remember it being, money is the root of all evil? I remember that being a phrase used from the Bible. It's definitely a phrase that's often quoted from the Bible, but that's not the phrase. The phrase is the love of money is the root of all evil. Not money itself, but the love of money. Now, I don't remember it that way. I remember it as money is the root of all evil. But now it's the love of money is the root of all evil. And this next one really surprised me. It shocked me, actually. And it's about how many wise men there were. How many wise men were in the Bible that went to seek out Jesus? I remember it as 3. Most people do remember it as 3. 3 wise men. Apparently now, the Bible does not state how many wise men there were. That blows me away. Where did 3 come from? As I said, I'm not a biblical scholar, so somebody out there may have more biblical knowledge than me, and maybe it never did state how many wise men there were. But where did we get 3 from? Where did we get the 3 wise men from? I don't understand that. So those were the Mandelas that I found in my research so far, in looking up Mandelas to cover for you guys in a new video coming up on the channel. And I just wanted to get into them on a live feed so that we had the opportunity to exchange ideas. Are there any Mandelas that you guys want to tell me about that you'd like to see me cover in the video? Mention them in the comments. And if you're watching this later on, go ahead and mention it, because, I'm leaving this up for later too. I wish I could show the pictures with these Mandelas that I talked about, but there's a lot of them I'd like to hear your feedback on, like how many members are in the Jackson 5, and definitely on the Bible stuff, because like I said, am not super informed on the Bible. I've never even fully read it. So I could definitely be wrong on any of the Bible stuff, but I was pretty sure there was 3 wise men. Just saying. But thanks for stopping by and checking out the live feed. Let me know any Mandelas that you would like to see me cover, and make sure you keep coming by to check out new videos, and look out for that new Mandela video coming out soon. I'm hoping to make it about a list of 30. I'm thinking in that general area, 25 to 30 new Mandelas, and they're new to me. They may not be new to you. I'm just researching like crazy and trying to find Mandelas for you guys, because it's been the most popular videos on my channel, and I love them. So I find them fascinating. You find them fascinating. Everybody wins. Thanks for watching Conspiracy Theories and Chill. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you on the next episode.